Hello, witches and wizards. Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the wizarding world and uncover the stories that don't always get the spotlight. Today, we're talking about characters who are often floating in the background, literally. The house ghosts. What has them tied to Hogwarts for the rest of eternity? They have become staples for the four houses and are often seen by the students while attending Hogwarts. Let's dive into the lives of the four house ghosts. Who is the Fat Friar? He's the official ghost of Hufflepuff House, and true to Hufflepuff style, he's known for being warm, kind, and always ready to help a fellow student. A round, cheerful monk in medieval robes, floating around with a big smile. He wasn't just a random ghost haunting Hogwarts. The Fat Friar was actually a former Hufflepuff student back in the day. After his time at Hogwarts, he joined a religious order, which is why we call him the Friar. The Fat Friar was deeply devoted to helping others, especially the sick. He believed in the power of healing magic and was known to cure the ill using spells. Well, the church did not like his methods. The senior churchmen grew suspicious of the friar. They did not trust his ability to cure and heal simply by poking the ill with a wood stick. Unable to understand the magic that the friar was using, he was executed by the church. The friar returned to Hogwarts, specifically to the Hufflepuff house where he had spent his time at Hogwarts. He's the kind of ghost who would actually help you find your missing homework. He's not haunting people or brooding in a dungeon. Hufflepuff students actually like their ghost. He's more of a spiritual advisor than a spooky presence. The Fat Friar barely gets any screen time in the movies. You blink, you miss him. And that's a shame because he actually represents what Hufflepuff is all about. He's proof that kindness doesn't mean weakness, that you can be joyful, gentle, and still be a force for good, even if the world doesn't always recognize that. Nearly Headless Nick, full name Sir Nicholas de Mimsy Porpington, is the ghost who haunts Gryffindor Tower. He's probably floating by during breakfast with polite small talk and tragic death stories. He's one of the more sociable Hogwarts ghosts. Always dressed to impress, usually wearing that frilly ruff around his neck to try and hide the fact that he has such a grotesque injury. Let's just say decapitation didn't go exactly as planned. So how did Sir Nicholas end up this way? Well, he lived during the late 1400s and served in the royal court. He was a wizard with a flair for dramatic magic, sometimes too dramatic. One day, he tried to fix a lady-in-waiting's teeth with a spell. Instead of giving her a better smile, he gave her tusks. Big mistake. The court didn't take kindly to magical dental disasters, so they sentenced him to death. He was supposed to be beheaded. But the axe was blunt, so instead of a clean cut, it took 45 whacks, and even then, the job wasn't done. That's why he's nearly headless. His head just kind of hangs there. After death, Sir Nicholas chose to become a ghost. He wasn't ready to move on. Like many ghosts, he was scared of what came next. He's been at Hogwarts ever since, floating through the halls, welcoming new Gryffindors, and occasionally throwing pretty depressing Death Day parties. Yep, instead of a birthday, he celebrates the day he died, with cold food, ghostly music, and a lot of moaning. And he invited Harry and the gang to one in Book 2. But the movie skipped it. One of Nick's lifelong, or after-lifelong goals is to join the Headless Hunt, a ghostly club for decapitated ghouls who like to ride around and throw their heads for fun. But they won't let him in. Why? Because he's not fully headless. He's tried everything. He even shows off his nearly detached head to prove he's headless enough. Despite his unfortunate end, Nick is a kind, loyal, and surprisingly upbeat ghost. He's there when Gryffindor students need him, and he cares deeply about Hogwarts. He may be a little dramatic, but he's earned the flair after 45 chops. Nearly Headless Nick. Brave in life, dramatic in death, and one of the most underrated characters in the wizarding world. The last is a tragic and tangled story of two house ghosts with a shared past. The Grey Lady of Ravenclaw and the Bloody Baron of Slytherin. Love, betrayal, and murder. The Gray Lady. She's the quiet, elegant ghost that haunts Ravenclaw Tower. Always a little distant, always a little sad. Most students don't even know her name. She's actually Helena Ravenclaw, daughter of Rowena Ravenclaw, one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts. And then there's the Bloody Baron, the terrifying, silent ghost of Slytherin House, covered in silver bloodstains, floating through dungeons like a medieval horror movie. Most students are terrified of him. But would you believe he wasn't always so scary? Turns out, he was in love. Here's the backstory J.K. Rowling dropped that never made it into the movies. Helena Ravenclaw stole her mother's prized possession, Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem, a magical crown that enhanced wisdom. Why? Because she wanted to be cleverer than her mother and surpass her. She ran off to Albania, in hiding from her mother and in search of using the diadem to enhance her own wisdom. Rowena, heartbroken at her daughter's betrayal and taken gravely ill, sent a fellow student of Helena to find her, the Blood Baron. So the Baron tracks Helena down. The Baron had shown interest in Helena on multiple occasions. However, Helena Ravenclaw never saw the Baron in the same light. He tracked down Helena all the way to Albania, unknowing about the diadem that she had hidden away. When Helena rejects the Baron once again, he stabs her. And when he realizes what he's done, out of guilt, he turns his own blade on himself. And that's how they both became ghosts. She became the Gray Lady, distant and guilt-ridden. He became the Bloody Baron, forever marked by his crime, hence the bloodstains. Now as ghosts, they're not just spooky background characters. They each embody the legacy of their house. Helena Ravenclaw. She's wise but reserved. She keeps to herself, speaks softly, and carries centuries of regret. She rarely opens up, except once to Harry, and it is known that she speaks with Luna Lovegood. And the Baron? He's the only one who can control Peeves. When he shows up, even Peeves shuts down. Now that's power. He doesn't say much, but his presence alone keeps Slytherin students in line. You know he's got the respect, and a terrifying backstory to back it up. What I love about these 4 ghosts is how much depth they add to the story. They're not just decorations. They're symbols of guilt, of loss, of what happens when ambition and emotion spiral out of control. They show us that even in death, people carry their choices, and that sometimes the people haunting the halls have unfinished business that still shapes the future. If you enjoyed this ghostly deep dive, subscribe for more magical stories, character lore, and Hogwarts history every week. Hit that like button and tell me in the comments, which house ghost do you think has the most interesting backstory? Mischief managed.